going on, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of No Guestlist, the Afrohouse conversation, the podcast where we talk about everything in and around the Afrohouse scene. Big news, upcoming current artists, whatever it may be, new releases, and those gritty conversations that need to be had. And we are opening up that conversation to the whole world. Alongside my two co-hosts, Wes, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. What's up? What's up?
And my man, Manu, the man. How are you, brother?
My guy. How you doing, boys? Virtual handshakes.
Virtual handshake. You're taking me back to the COVID times. Look,
Yeah,
kicking
man.
off, just want to say a big thank you to everybody who tuned in to the last show. If you missed that episode, you can check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Guys, we appreciate the support. We're 4 episodes in. We've had some really good feedback from you guys, and we've had some really good suggestions for topics. So, yeah, if you have any thoughts or suggestions of topics that you'd like us to discuss, you can drop us a message on any of our individual socials, which we will chuck somewhere around the screen here, or you can hit us up at No Guestlist OFC on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Wes, let's have a little recap of the past couple of weeks since we last recorded. I know you're off to Miami Music Week soon. Any
That's
highlights
right.
over the past couple of weeks that you can tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just been grinding, getting ready for the upcoming week in Miami. It's going to be super busy with a lot of networking opportunities. I'm going to be doing a live stream for the Deep Root Tribe with Francis Mercier Afrohouse panel. So mostly been working on setting that up. Little bit of fun here and there. Went to Sparrow and Barbosa on Saturday here in Toronto, which was, yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. I love me some Sparrow and Barbosa, so that
Favorite
was
track
cool.
they played?
Honestly, I don't remember.
That's
It was
the
one of
best.
those ones, yeah.
You shouldn't remember. Anytime you go
I
out, you shouldn't remember what happened.
So you're
I
telling me
remember
this
it
is
was
one of the Patreon content nights, yeah?
Patreon content nights for sure. Because yeah, the day was busy. I was working a lot during the day with some Afrohouse guys who are doing work here in Toronto, DJs, video creators, those kind of guys. So yeah, started off
Yeah,
early. So by the time we made it to the venue, we were all a bit out of it.
twisted. I
Yeah,
think that's the
yeah.
politest way to put it. A bit twisted. That's
Out,
cool,
out of
man.
it.
Where are Sparrow and Barbosa from?
Just good question, man. You're putting me on the
That's a
spot
great
here.
I've
question, but
always wondered. I don't know. In my head, I thought they were Spanish, but I may be completely wrong. Can someone
I
check?
think it's
If
definitely Hispanic.
One
Um,
checking.
I think it's definitely from those sides.
these guys are killing it, man. Like I remember so many of their tracks from back in the
Or are
day.
they North African? Might be Morocco actually, because you know that Morocco
Well,
Spain
here we
network
go.
is.
Here we go. So performed by the Swiss Brian Coletta and the Uruguayan Emiliano Haberli. So Swiss and Uruguayan,
Wow,
interesting yeah.
holding it down for
So we
Switzerland.
were
That's another place where there's a lot
we were
of
miles
Afro
off.
picking up at the moment. Yeah, that's cool, man. Wow.
Nah,
And
Switzerland's
Manu,
killing
what
it.
about you, my bro? What's going on with you, brother? I know you've got. We mentioned just before we jumped on the call, you got some nice gigs coming up. You've got one this weekend and one in a couple of weeks' time with me.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm excited. I think now the Manu as a DJ brand needs to take off. So, I mean, I've been DJing
Yeah,
for years, but I think in this capacity under the Manu name, it's something that I'm working on very hard. So yeah, this weekend we've got a nice party going on with Ulu and Owasso. So shout out to Fuzak, Dylan S, and Robin M. That's going to be a nice party. If you're around, well, by the time you listen to this podcast, it would have passed, but that's going to be nice at Lower Third in London. And then, is it March 29th? You and I are playing with
yeah,
Bartella
man.
and LA Dave.
Yeah, that's gonna be big.
Here in
I
London
can't wait for
again.
that. Cannot
You
That's going
wait.
to
know,
be nice. Yeah, the first.
that's
Yeah.
something like I actually this weekend was the first time I got behind the decks in months. Like a good 6 months, haven't been behind the decks, and like,
No way.
yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
was your beat
No, it
match?
was a great. No, beat matching is fine. It's more about my phasing and timing. That's what needs work, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I mean I know the basics, been doing it for a while. It's just getting that crispy timing is something that I
I
need to
think,
work on.
do you know what though? I feel like as you progress and mature as a DJ, patience for me is key. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel
Mm.
like a lot of people, when you listen to a
Rush
track
through.
and yeah, you
Oh,
either do effects or
Hmm.
you play with the knobs, right? But if a track is like 7 minutes long, you can't be doing that too much. So like, what do you do with yourself? So like, just
bro,
learning
I
to be
say,
patient and
yeah, I think you gotta be patient. You gotta let tracks breathe as well. I mean, one of my absolute pet peeves when I when I'm doing a back to back with someone, and I've done a couple of back to backs where people have done this, and like we haven't even got to the second drop yet, and you're mixing in your track. That is an example of not understanding how phasing and structure of music works,
that's just
and
confidence
real
though. That's just like,
importance.
Yeah.
people that when there's like silence, they have to say something or they have to do something. No,
Or
it's
like
okay
me,
to be quiet sometimes and just and no, but it's true. Nah, I didn't say that, but you know,
bro. I'm
sometimes
like
it's
that
okay
though.
to
If
just
there's
sit in
silence, I'm
silence.
like, you speak. Yeah,
No, but sometimes it's okay to sit in silence and just, you know, sometimes,
yeah.
what's unsaid tells you everything.
What's unsaid
Yeah.
says a lot. We can
It does
quote
a lot.
that. Yeah,
It
what's
says a lot.
unsaid says a lot. Manu 2024. Yeah, we've now gone from no
No
guest list
guest
to
list.
Afrohouse conversation to the conversation of wise quotes. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No, but bro, for real, man, congratulations, Manu. I wanted to say that. You got some big gigs coming up. I've seen some of the stuff you got
Appreciate
planned
it.
for the rest of the year as well. You're going over to the Netherlands, I believe, and then you got something in April as well.
Oh man. Yeah.
Like you got
Hey,
some
listen,
stuff
like,
coming up, man, and it's a lot of
hey,
hard
for me,
work
it's
as well.
just about spreading the vibe.
Yeah,
I'm a
absolutely.
very laid back, cool guy. I like to travel. I like to meet people. For me, it's just about making connections, spreading the music, showing people what real Afro House is. Yeah, hopefully, like we get more gigs. I get to perhaps bring some people along, create events, perhaps in the future. But yeah, it's just a start, man. It's just a start. We'll see. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
man.
Yeah, big
And I
up,
mean, I'm
bro.
going to do a quick plug for myself quickly as well.
Do it.
We spoke about this before we started recording as well. But Audio Therapy Season 2 is coming back. Finally, it's been a long, long, long wait. I think we spoke about it on the last podcast. April the 5th is looking like being the launch date. So as long as everything runs smoothly, we will be back with some guests. I'm going to do the first couple of shows by myself. And then I've already got a few guests lined up, but I'm going to keep tight-lipped on that for the
You
time
know what
being.
we
But
need,
yeah,
guys? We need like sound effects on this podcast. So like when
Ba, ba, ba,
someone,
ba.
yeah, all of that, clap, bruh, 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 all that shit,
We do,
man.
we do.
listen, I think our sound effect every time something goes well or we get some good news, we just get a la la tuxin. That should be
Yeah,
our
yeah,
sound
yeah,
effect.
yeah. I like that. I like
But
that.
yeah, man, some exciting stuff going on, and yeah, things to look forward to over the next couple of months. In speaking of which, as well, upcoming releases and recent releases. I think we had a good week last week of recent releases. I mean, we finally got a look at Cairo and Mujo, and I don't want to butcher his names. Sean, Savon, but their EP,
Season. I thought it was like season. You know, like
season. That
season.
makes
I
sense.
don't know. I
Season.
don't know.
Oh,
So let us know in
It's
the comments how you're supposed
oh,
to say
Nguino.
it.
You're talking about Nguino.
Inguino, yeah,
Anguino,
because he was
yeah,
on the EP. I think both tracks, right?
Starving
yeah.
yet full, isn't it?
Starving Yet Full.
Starving Yet
That's right.
Falls on the other one, yeah. But yeah, what did you guys think? I was really looking forward to it, and honestly, I was not disappointed.
Oh man, it's like for me, it's I think the tracks are so different from each other. I mean, firstly, in
Yeah.
Guino, it's like very like Afrohouse, kind of more that authentic sound. But then I Want You has like Afrohouse elements, but definitely taking inspiration from other genres and like fantastic EP from the two of them, three of them.
Yeah, I Want You is the one. He sent me I
It,
Want You ages ago, and it didn't have any vocals. It
okay.
was just stripped. It was just like, the instrumental, and I liked it then. But yeah, I think now with that, with those emotions and that feel, it's on another level. But yeah, shout out to the guys, man. They keep pushing Mujo and Cairo for
Gosh,
sure.
shout out to the guys over at Calamar Records, man, because I really feel like that's a label, and obviously Mudro at the helm of it, who they're really building their own very unique sound, and you're starting to hear it in a lot of the artists who come to release on the label or collaborate on the label. You're hearing their sound get this like Calamar Records twist on it, which is
Yeah.
it really it's it they've got very very solid engineers and producers in the likes of Remind Arthur in their corner, and
It's
honestly, in
branding.
my humble opinion, I think that they're going to be one of the labels to look at as one of the biggest labels in the world very soon, very
You,
soon.
you know what I like about Calamar is that they also have this, at least from a digital presence, it's like really feels like they take their time and they're not overly concerned about like what's viral, how do we get all these followers, all these likes, oh who's playing our tracks. You know, their social media strategy is like very like now we're doing our thing, the music speaks for itself, and like you gotta respect that, right? And there was a few releases recently that I won't say names, but really mimic that Calamar Crew sound for sure.
Yeah, man, they've
What
got their
from
own brand,
outside of it?
and
Yeah. I'll send you a
oh,
track
okay.
after. And you can like,
Oh, there's a lot of that though, but I think
I said it
that's
with a little
happening
smirk
everywhere,
on
and I
his
think
face.
yeah.
Sorry, bro, go on.
But yeah, Calamar is doing it, and forget Afro House. You know, if we expand on that and look at house music generally, they're really getting busy and active when it comes to house music. That Shook One's Part 3 track, to me, that's a
Yeah,
top 10 release that I've heard, you know, last year. Like, that track is crazy,
yeah, man,
absolutely
fully.
mad. So, yeah, shout out to Nick Morgan.
hmm
But even the Kashofsky, was it Pump? Or what's the other one? There's another track from Kashofsky that did very well. I think it's still like top 10 on Beatport.
For
Obviously, they had,
Calamar,
yeah,
was it Badman?
Oh,
Did
Bad
that come
bad
Man.
out?
man.
Dude, Bad.
Bro, Badman is
Yeah.
fire, man. Wow.
Actually, Bad Man might be size, but let's double check. But I think it was
I'm
Pump.
gonna check now. Yeah.
I know
Yeah, I
Kashofsky
think I
though
think you're
is
right. It's yeah, Pump was Calamar Crew. Then you had Look Around You, Remind, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Look
Um,
around you is incredible,
yeah.
man.
They have a
Everything
whole
the
kind of
Remind.
crew that is doing very well. But yeah, Remind, another one
Yeah.
that's killing it. You know. But yeah, shout
Remind
out to
is
Kalama, man.
Remind. I'm earmarking as one of the artists of 2024 for real, man. Like I think there were people we made like assumptions earlier in the year when we did our like predictions for 2024. I don't think Remind was a name that we mentioned back then, but I know in the conversations that we've had offline that it's a name that gets like mentioned a lot in terms
Always.
of what he's doing in the industry. And this guy, his level of production is
mhm.
honestly unlike anything that I've heard. Unlike anything
Yeah.
that I've heard. So yeah, big props to him, man. Massive props to him.
He's tough.
Right. Any upcoming releases you guys have got your eye on for the next couple of weeks? Excuse the sirens. Should we just pause for a sec?
I think, I mean, this Friday, I'm excited for the Sky White release, the Levy M release on Sondela later on. That's also
Bro,
super
why are you
exciting.
stealing my tracks?
Bro,
Don't
I was
Manu,
do
gonna
you
say
have
that.
the
to
same thing, man, but
you have to give me some space, bro, because you know all the tracks. I only know most of them, you know?
No, but that Levy M, That Levy M, I have to claim because that track,
All right, all right.
Levy M, guys,
Yeah,
and
shout out
that's a
Levy.
name like you know, all due respect to Remind, but Levy M, this another guy that people just don't even know. Like I think he's respected. I think producers know who Levy M is, but
Hmm.
Afrohouse fans need
He's one of
to.
those. He's one of those like where the whole industry knows who he is, but the world doesn't. And I feel that way a little bit about Remind for now, but I think he's gonna blow up in like the next few months.
Yeah, man. If you look at like Levy M's releases, Nervous,
Oh, mad.
Yeah.
Connected, big, big, big labels. I think he's got, you know, yeah, his catalog is high quality, and that track coming out, Heartache on Sandela, March 29th, I
Mm.
believe, it's gonna do stupidness.
You
Yeah.
know what one of my favorite Levy M tracks is of all time? Do you remember his track called Mako Kanye? I hope I'm saying that right and not butchering it. I think it was with Lizwy. Bro, one of my favorite tracks ever, man. And
Wow.
yeah, it was around the time that I kind of got put onto Levy M, maybe a little bit earlier. But yeah, this guy's his sound is very unique, I think. And you're
Yeah.
right, it's a shame that he's not more well known, but
I'll
that's what
push it,
we're
man.
here
I'll definitely
for.
push this guy.
Guys,
I'm
check
gonna
out
push him.
Levy M's whole catalog, 100%.
Yeah, check out Levy M for sure.
Yeah. Also,
But
guys, I've got to say this. Olha você.
All I
Bro,
ever say,
that
all I
track,
ever say, all I ever say. Crazy track, crazy, crazy, crazy.
unbelievable, man.
Very
That's like,
unique.
I think that might be the opening for my set at the Cross, but I'm not going to give too much away. Because if you start
okay.
Hey,
there, if you start there,
yeah.
you're starting strong, man. But that track is fire.
Yeah, that's a great track.
If you're starting there, call the cops, man. What are you doing? Nah, man. You can't
Do you think
start
that's too
there,
heavy
bro.
to
Hey,
start a track?
man. Hey, hey, hey,
But
hey.
something that I'm excited for as well. I mean, we're heading into the, I guess, northern hemisphere summer season, which is like really where music culture like kicks off, right? Around the world. And I think there's a lot of stuff that we haven't heard about yet that's going to be dropping like in time for those upcoming tours and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Hey,
I agree, man.
let me,
This summer's going to be one to keep an eye on. Lots and
Yeah.
lots of good
guys.
music. I mean, look, we spoke about the whole conversation around leaks on the last episode, but I think that even in amongst that conversation, there's a nice bit of hype around music that we might have heard has been leaked or stuff that's we're hearing people play. This summer's going to be a very, very good summer as it approaches like Europe, I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
any other highlights from the week from the past couple of weeks, guys?
Uh, Not really, man. Like Wes said, it's grind time.
Yeah.
Now just grinding, trying to move things along, stay in the moment, create, be consistent. Because yeah, I think it's a very exciting period right now in Afrohouse. Lots of new talent. Music is getting kind of the right exposure. I saw yesterday Pete Tong playing Famax. You
Yeah.
know, videos of him at Coco playing those tracks. Like we're reaching that stage now where it's like, man, we have to lock in. So yeah, it's exciting.
Agreed. Well, look, if it's time to grind and hustle, let's grind and hustle into the main topic of today's podcast. And I think this is something that a lot of people have been wanting us to speak about for a while. It's a conversation that really, it's not necessarily a new conversation. It's been on the lips of artists and promoters, venue owners, I don't know, I'd probably even say like health and safety officers around the world, particularly in the UK. I mean, since COVID regulations were lifted, we went from seeing really small events and tiny crowds to huge events. And all of a sudden, something I'd never seen before was thousands of people packed in. And I don't know if it's I don't know, Wes, if it's the same thing you've seen over in Canada. Don't know if you've noticed it as well, Manu, but I've just noticed that a lot more people are getting packed into events and at times is verging on overcrowding. But what do you guys think? Is it a good look for the scene, or is it starting to sort of hinder the standard partygoer's ability to really enjoy events?
I think it's not a good look for the scene, and I think I mean, to answer your question, like, yeah, between Canada and the US, it's the same problem regardless, of the event. And I think maybe I don't know if people are trying to make up for losses during COVID, but it's definitely a trend that's continuing. Like, it's uncomfortable being in the venues. It's like you want to be there and enjoy the music, but you can't even stand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's just a product of the post-COVID era. You know, people now are outside more, and it's similar to like when you're traveling. When you go on vacation, it never used to be like that. When if you go to Greece or Madrid or wherever, the amount of tourists, the amount of people that are out, it's just absolutely crazy. So I think that trend has also come into the party scene and the nightlife. So yeah, I think it's definitely a combination of a couple of things. People have more money to spend on experiences, live experiences, right? They cherish that more. They want to be out. But I think in our scene as well, Afrohouse, as I said earlier, it's very hot at the moment. So it's good. I think it's a good thing. But of course, when you're talking health and safety, that's a whole other conversation.
You know what
Yeah,
I
I
you
mean,
know
look,
what I hate?
I say health and safety tongue in cheek a bit, but I think the real experience, and I'm not gonna point fingers necessarily because I don't want it to sound as if I'm calling people out. I'm certainly not doing that because this is a industry-wide thing that occurs. But I don't know, man. I feel like I struggle to enjoy events as much where you're literally cooped in, like your arms are next to you. There's not a step you can take to the left. There's not a
Don't
step you
don't
can
go to
take to the
High
right.
Ibiza. Don't
Like,
If you go to High to see Black Coffee, make sure you get a VIP table. Yeah, it's gonna cost you 20 grand, but
20
I'm telling
grand?
you,
oh, I'll make sure. Yeah,
High.
I'll just pull 20 grand out my back pocket for high.
Yeah, just tell him Manu sent you. Just tell him Manu sent you.
Hey, yo. Manu's paying the bill as well. I'm gonna tell them.
Bro, High. I went there last year. You can't move, and I'm sure that a few people listening to this will attest and relate. It's your sardines, literally.
Is
It's
it
so
worth it though?
packed.
When you're paying these big prices for tickets, like I think
Yeah,
of
it's like 80
the prices
euros.
I pay is like £80 for a ticket in the UK now. Some prices for like VIP access or stage access are going up to like £120.
That's outrageous, bro. Like, that's
Yeah.
seriously high.
So if you're
Wow.
No,
paying
but you
that
know why
money,
though? Because they know
go
that
on.
people are gonna show up. And they know, like when Shimza played at Coco, I think VIP tickets were like £100. I'm sure they still sold out. People are
Yeah, they
still
Yeah,
did.
gonna go.
remember
People are
they
still gonna, post it on their
You
social media, etc.
like, I have this thing where I think I'm cursed, man. Like, every time I'm in one of those venues and like it's really packed, no matter where I stand, I become like the guy that's like, where everyone is
In the
passing.
way.
Everyone is like, and there's a train of people, bro, and you're just like, yo, like,
Yeah,
don't.
you gotta move.
I hate that, man.
Yeah, man.
I
I think
actually
there's a
I've
tactic
left
to it.
events. I've left events because of that. I'm like,
But you
nah.
know why? Because you need to dance. The people that don't dance always usually get
I guess, bro. I guess I'm
they
gonna
get
dance.
ushered to the side.
Wesley, do you not dance?
I do dance, but like I'm more like chill, like, yeah, like just vibing. I'm not
Just
like,
the
Yeah, he's
pop,
a
yeah,
vibe.
man.
yeah,
You
I'm
got
not like
Wes
a,
doing
yeah.
in the middle of the dance floor, like,
You
hype.
can't bop to all of us say. When all of us say comes out, you
Bro, you
gotta
You
gotta
gotta
move,
move.
man. But this is
you
a
gotta
this is
move.
a real thing, and I mean, look, this is also part of the topic. Like, I think that there is an aspect, and I don't know, what do you guys think? There's an aspect of partying in general now, especially in spaces like Afro House, Afro, not so much Afro Tech. I mean, you look at some of the SA parties or parties in Zimbabwe or wherever, Kenya, people are there to party. There's space to dance. You'll see people dancing. Everyone's enjoying themselves, and it's more like it's a nicely sized gathering, and everyone's there to enjoy the DJ. But I almost feel like, especially in across Europe and maybe even in North America as well, it's not really considered cool to dance anymore. Like, the cool thing now is to wear a sick outfit and be on stage with the DJ.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and then it's you got people who are on stage with a DJ who might have a little bit of space to move, and then you've got everybody packed in like sardines in the crowd. And I mean, I think back to events like Ultra, where you literally see everyone's just packed in, and the only people who are really having a good time are the ones who are on stage. So has VIP access become too much of a milestone that people want to reach, where they know the DJs like that, or they know that they know the promoters and they can get backstage? Do you think that that's become too much of an issue in the scene?
Hey man, no guest list. I feel like that trend is the core of this podcast. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's kind of why we call it no guest list. But also I think it's a captivating aspect of just the DJ world, especially events. Obviously, this podcast is not all about that, but it's kind of a cool spin that we put on it. Yeah, I think people, it's this IG social media era, man. Like, you want to be up there, people see you, you can do your thing, you can act like you know the DJ, you can touch the DJ. I'm also like victim of that, sometimes. But I think, as you said, it's either you're on the dance floor and you literally can't move, you're packed like sardines, or you got a bit of room, you look cool, you're next to the DJ, you might make it on your social media, you can show your friends, oh look, I'm there. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I
I
mean,
think
it's
I think
the
I think
thing,
that's
like,
the
I mean, but
conversation.
I also think like times have changed, like generally for musicians, right? It's like now DJs have a lot more of a celebrity status, right, than they used to, like, you know, 10 years ago. So it's like that also that trend is like there's a lot more gravitation toward, I guess, being close to the celebrity as the DJ, in addition to social media and influencer like behavior, you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
man. I mean, look, I think of it from Manu said that he's been victim to it as well. There's two ways in which you could say we've been victim to. We've been victim to it in the sense of wanting to be backstage alongside these big name DJs, and we've been victim to it in the sense of being DJs ourselves. And I can tell you for a fact that, I don't know, people might call me boring, but I think that it's really important for DJs to have an understanding with the promoter. Because I mean, look, we speak about Shimza's event at Coco, where they were selling on stage tickets as well. Now, personally, I like to feel relaxed and comfortable, and like I know the people who are around me while I'm like during my set. So if the promoter was suddenly selling £120 or £80 tickets to a bunch of people who I don't know, and you just know that some Sally or David is going to come along and try and like bump the decks or something, and something's going to go wrong. I
some
do also
madness.
think that there's an aspect of it of how much do DJs actually how much do DJs actually want everybody to be on stage with them versus what it used to be, where you turn up to a big set at, I don't know, Studio 338, Ministry of Sound or Fabric, and your entourage comes with you, and it's just people that you know behind the decks. Like, what do you think, man? Have you been in that situation before?
I think that's a very simple answer. I think that just comes down to event size. If it's a festival, you can charge £1,000 for VIP. I'm sure Kind of Music, when they threw their Zumnas Tulum party, they were charging upwards of $1,000 for on stage access.
I
And
have a story about that actually. We'll get
no, but
into it.
I'm sure that's what it is. Like when we went to Sondela a month ago, you can't do that because there's no space. You can literally fit 8 people behind the DJ,
Hmm.
and of course they're gonna prioritize the people that know the DJ. So to me, it's just about event size. You know, if the backstage can I guess host 300 people, 200 people, 100 people, yeah, man, charge them. Charge them. I was gonna say a bad word, but charge them £5,000. You know, what I mean, you can.
But one thing I'll argue is that I think when you have a big stage and it's empty, right, or like a few people, it's not a good visual. You know what I mean? Like for the people who are consuming, that event. But if it's like filled with all these people, it's like
But
you're
it is
losing
though.
the vibe.
It depends.
Wait. I've got a question, Wes. When you say it's not a good visual, do you mean it's not a good visual for the people who are there enjoying the party, or do you mean it's not a good visual for the footage afterwards? Because I mean, that's become a huge part of our industry now as well, which is after party footage, during the party
Yeah.
footage. Like at the end of the day,
Content is
I'm still
everything.
old school in the sense that I feel like it's supposed to be you go to an event to enjoy the music, you want to let loose a little bit, you want to have a little bit of a dance, I don't know, have a drink with your friends, be able to turn around and talk to your friend and meet some new people. I don't know, I don't
Yeah.
think there's enough space to do that anymore, and packing out packing more people in for the sake of sales, as much as I understand the importance of promoters needing to do it to make money, personally, I don't think that it's a good
But
thing,
you
man.
know
I
why?
think
You know why we're having this conversation though? Because we
oh,
have access to guest list most of the times, so we
true.
know every facet of what that experience is, right? So I think if we were, no offense, but fans of the scene and just went there for the music, we wouldn't have these insights, I think. But because obviously when we go to events, we can reach out to the DJ and ask for guest list or even the promoter themselves. And I think once we have this perspective and are in the event and can look at the dance floor, we kind of have this full perspective, this holistic view of what's happening. But yeah, I feel like there's so many views on this guest list, this VIP conversation. But it's a funny
Let
one, I
me
think. It's definitely a funny one.
Let me answer your question though, Anthony. I think it does depend on the venue though, but yes, it is more footage based that, filling up the whole area behind the DJ makes for a good video, right? Um, but I can all it like sometimes I think like I've seen shows live as well where it's just a massive stage, a table, some decks, and the DJ is just playing. Seriously, it's
You
like it was Black Coffee in Toronto like a few years back. It was so awkward, man. I was like,
And no, do you know what, bro? I completely get what you're saying. I think that it does look good. And I honestly do think sometimes, like I said, from the perspective of the DJ, situations I've been in myself, it is nice to be up there with your friends. You can easily get alienated during a DJ set whereby you're so zoned in on the mix and you're so zoned in on maybe you've got 3 decks going at the same time. That's your focus. That
yeah,
it's easy to lose that connection with the crowd. So sometimes, yeah, having some people behind the booth can help that. But I do also, like I'm saying, I think the fact that it is for a visual, it's now got this new, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily, but it's got this new dynamic to partying where it's no longer just about the sound and what you hear. It's about
hmm,
the sound and what you hear, how everything looks for post production as well. So it's like events are now becoming this whole plan of I do it at the cross, for example. I'm like, yo, we need red lights. We can't have green and blue lights flashing. That's not going to look good on camera.
yeah.
We want
There you
one
go.
color, that, and all of this new, like
Content
I
is
said, new
everything.
dynamic of thinking about how you produce events essentially.
But also, I think not every DJ can perform on stage by themselves. Like you see, only a few DJs can do that. The DJs that are comfortable connecting with the crowd and fist bumping and cheering the crowd on and egging them on and all of that. I feel like that's they can be on stage by themselves, but a lot of DJs need people behind them. They need that reassurance or that type of connection. Every now and then they turn around, they get a tap on the shoulder, that interaction. So I think it also has to do with performance and how you perform and how comfortable you are by
Yeah.
yourself on stage. Because it's different. It's two different types of performing. Yeah, showmanship. That's the
So,
word.
so I'll
That's
go
an
story.
art in and of itself. Sorry, go on,
Yeah,
bro. Tell
man.
us your story, your kind of music story.
Story
$1,000 for a
time.
table.
No. I mean, like, it wasn't that expensive. I mean, it was a few $100s for sure. But the reason we got it was for that logic. Like, yo, guys, like, I just want a little bit of space. I'm willing to pay a premium for that space. And obviously, having that view and the visual, it was at Brooklyn Mirage, which is like a 4,000 person venue, right? So we get there, the gig gets going, and then we're like, all right, the way that you got backstage was you walk up to the front and there's two stairs going up, right? And we get to the stairs and the bouncer's like, no, the backstage is full. And I'm like, what do you mean it's full? Like, we have tickets. Like, we paid for that access. And he's like, honestly, crowds just overwhelmed and pushed through the bouncers onto the backstage area. And he's like, we're just trying to crowd control at this point. And I was like, man, but we paid and this and that. He's like, you can talk to management about that. But he's like, people have just pushed their way past the bouncers up the stairs onto the stage behind kind of music. Like, that's how like people were rioting get onto the stage.
Yeah, but kind of
I
music in New
mean,
York just shuts down everything. Like,
It does. It
and
does. Look,
yo, kind of
it's
music, guys, it's kind of music anywhere in the world because I don't want to, like I
yeah.
said right at the start of this, I don't want to point fingers, but I do feel as if the moments that I think about where there's an unruly mass of people behind the DJ booth is kind of music events. We went to Troxy, sorry, was it Troxy or Coco? One of the two for a kind of music party. And that was the first time that I experienced feeling uncomfortably tight. And I remember all the tracks that played because I'm a big fan, but I couldn't. Lagoo came on, and this was my dance to Lagoo.
Yeah, because that's all you can
That
do.
was it. I couldn't move. And I mean, if you think back to their, like, I think it was their Mayan Warrior set or one of their Burning Man sets, there's that famous bit of footage where I think Anmi's mixing and then the girl, like, knocks the pause button and he styles it
oh
out
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Like, he pulls it off, he's like,
Yeah.
what? And then bangs play again. But yeah, I think that idea of overcrowding the DJ booth it's a technique. It's a tactic I think that's used to build people's social status. Like, and I mean social media status in the sense that if you've got 100 people behind the DJ booth and 50 people are taking stories and tagging you, that's going to get shared to a much wider audience. So is it just part and parcel now, or is it something that we need to accept, or is it something that's worth combating for
mate. You know
the...
what it is, man. It comes down to people wanting to feel important. That's what it is, and everybody wants to feel important and look good, right? That's just
Yeah,
like an innate feeling that we have as humans. Like,
Yep.
that's right.
it just comes down to that, man. I feel like, yeah, most people, myself included, when you go to an event, you're like, yeah, but they look better up there. They look like they're having a better time. It's a bit more exclusive. So I think that's what it is. I think that mentality needs to change, but it does come down to that, especially if it's a big backstage, right? And you've
Yeah.
got some next guy next to you doing too much, right? And then up there it's just fucking going off. You got beautiful people up there, and you're like, damn. I think that's what it is. I'm gonna say beautiful
Bro,
people. I'm gonna
beautiful
leave it at
people.
that.
That was very polite. A very, very polite and diplomatic way
Yeah,
of putting it, man.
you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
bro.
what you
Look, I
mean.
mean, look. Even this idea of guest list is, look, like you said, we call the podcast No Guest List. It's a vital part of DJing nowadays, and especially on a London circuit. Most clubs actually probably won't even think about booking somebody unless they can bring a crowd with them nowadays. If it's like a smaller DJ who hasn't got hits out already, and you know that you're going to put their name on the lineup, and everyone's going to rock up for like a Francis Mercier or a Night Freak or a Kind of Music or a Black Coffee. If it's Anthony James on the lineup, and I'm playing like a, I don't know, 3 or 4 hour set in like a Mayfair club, for example, the expectation is that you're going to bring a crowd with you. You're going to have a guest list of like minimum 30 to 50 people. So yeah, it is part of it's part of the scene, I guess. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and also, yeah, that's a
I
great
miss the
point
days of
because
being in the crowd and enjoying it and dancing and like going to Ministry of Sound, and you'd be in the crowd, you'd see your
it's not
friends,
that.
you'd run outside. I don't know, back then you might go and smoke a cigarette, come running back in, and you could do all of that. If you leave your spot now, you're done. Like
Yeah,
you're done.
and you have
Forget
to.
about it, man.
It's like these types of events for me. It's like sometimes it's a fight. It's like you have to assert your dominance to get
Bro,
your
it's mad, bro. Yeah.
territory. And hey, man, it's like I'm just here for some music. Like relax,
Mate, when
guys.
I went to AJ, you came with to Francis Mercier with me, did you?
Yeah, I did. Francis Mercier, Alex One,
Yes, yes, dude.
the
They
Tunnels
had
in
so many
Waterloo, right?
different color wristbands. Like they had wristbands
Oh,
for everything. If you were with Alex, you had to have, I don't know, orange wristband. When he left the stage, everybody on his guest list also had to leave. And
yeah.
then Francis' crew came on. There was a whole wristband classification color situation that was just annoying.
Wow,
And
really?
yeah, bro, it was crazy. It was crazy. And yeah,
I
fights,
left. I ended up
arguments.
leaving. I was like, yo,
Yeah, it
I'm
was
out.
tension. Yeah,
And
it's too much.
not
Too
anything to
much.
do with the event. The event itself was great, but I remember there
Yeah,
was a
cool.
stage at that event where I was stood behind the DJ booth for a bit. It was myself, Manu. Who else was with us? There was someone else with us as well, and I was like, Manu's going, guys, just wait. Like we're gonna get in. Like it's gonna be cool. The bouncers are saying, just wait a minute. Same thing that happened with you as with Kind of Music. Bouncers saying,
Yeah.
just wait. It's overcrowded. It's crowd control. So I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna do what normal people do and go to the crowd and enjoy the set from there. And I got to the archway that led to the main sort of hall. You couldn't take a step inside this place. It was impossible to even
It was
move.
rammed.
It was completely impossible. Wall to wall, it was rammed. And that's what I'm talking about when I speak about events being oversold. Personally, when you're paying that price for an event, and I will call out a promoter, not a like call out the promoter. It's your responsibility as a promoter to make sure that you're providing not only a fun environment for people, but also a safe environment because God knows what everyone gets up to at these events. And
Hmm.
if something is to go wrong on that dance floor, you're screwed. That's what
Facts.
I see anyway. And maybe I'm getting old and I'm boring. And back in the day,
No,
people were
man.
rubbing
It's
sweaty
I
on me,
look.
but
I don't. I also think if you ask anyone like genuinely, oh, do you like that? Do you like to be packed like a sardine? I don't think anyone's gonna say yes, regardless
let's
of
open
whether
it
you're
up.
18 or you know.
You can do a
Yeah, yeah.
Katie,
poll,
let's
bro.
open it
Go
up
I
on.
for
promise
guys.
you,
Guys,
man.
leave a comment. Let us know in the comments section or drop us a DM at No Guest List OOC. How do you feel about overcrowding at events? We can make it an easy question. Is it an issue? Yes or no? Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. If you like to be packed in like a sardine, you little freak, you.
I'll tell you something as well. I went to a Rufus to Soul festival in Mexico, and
Yeah.
they had a perfect execution of capacity. Absolutely perfect. Like
When
everyone
was
had
that though?
space. Sorry?
When was it? When was it?
Like after COVID, but a couple years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So they had like shout out to them because they really smashed it with that. Enough people to feel like a vibe, but you still have your space to yourself if needed. And then also having like spaces for breathing room. So, outside the main stage area, sitting areas, you know, all that kind of stuff, grab some food, whatever. I mean, it was a festival, it's a little bit different, but I
Yeah, I
think
think I think there's
it's
a lot of
memorable.
I think there's a lot of cheekiness that is happening from a event planning perspective across, you know, just across the industry, man. There's a lot of cheekiness, right? There's a lot of kind of, you know, heads turning, look the other way, shit happening, right? Let's be frank,
Yeah.
because it's yeah. And also, it is about making money at the end of the day. That's what drives a lot of this. But yeah, a lot of these events are just not fun, right? They're not enjoyable. If you can't dance to an Afrohouse track, like, and all you can do is just like jump up and down on the
Yeah,
spot,
like
like,
bop
come
your
on,
head.
man,
Yeah.
fuck are we
And it's
doing?
almost like people look at the people who are dancing like, how dare you?
Oh,
Why
you're
are you
weird.
dancing? Why are you
Yeah,
muting this? There's
man.
only a little bit of
So what you
space. Don't
did?
dance there, me. Like,
Another
that's a
another
shame,
thing
man.
that Yeah, another thing that pisses me off the most is when you're getting to a good moment in the event and then you decide, like, you forget about that, you're packed for a second, and then it's getting good, and then like just in front of you is like a sea of cell phones. People are just filming, and then you can't see anything anymore. It's like,
Wes, it's like you
bro.
read my mind because I've got this written in the notes. The next part of what I wanted to speak to you guys about was camera phones, man. Like
Oh
cell phones, like
man.
you said. It's become such a huge part of our industry. We mentioned
Yeah,
it
but it's
earlier
funny
from the
though.
perspective of social
I think
media and exposure. But I look, it's the foundation of our work as well, realistically.
yeah, it's a foundation of Wes's work. That's why I'm saying
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
funny that
Yeah.
he
I
brought it
mean,
up. That's what I think.
Wes is like,
That's why I'm
stop
like,
taking
but
videos,
Wes,
man, but still send me videos.
yeah, but like it doesn't have to be everyone, bro. Like a couple people, like it's fine, but not everyone. Like,
yeah, but
you know,
everybody's the same though. Everybody thinks the same. Everybody's trying to get that
that,
drop visual.
Yeah, but
yeah.
what for though? Because realistically, guys, look, we went to Lever K. We took some videos, sent some to him in like a Dropbox file and whatever. Cool. We were backstage with him. I can probably think
Story.
like if I think of what's in my camera roll right now, just leave a K. Maybe a couple of shots from when we were playing at the Cross or events that I've done where people have filmed me on my phone. But for the most people who pull their cell phones out to take a video at a big drop at a kind of music or at a black coffee show, where does it go? Because they don't even put it on their stories, man. These guys are most of the time wasted anyway. Some shaky ass footage,
Yeah.
like just sweat
No, I
dripping
get
down
it.
the camera
I've
lens and condensation.
I've received so much of that. It's unbelievable, bro. It's like, yeah, I think it's just become our second nature as humans now. It's not only about events. It's like any moment you're at a restaurant, oh, take a pic, oh, like it's like first
That's what
instinct is
it
not
is.
like, this is amazing, I'm enjoying it. It's, oh, this is
Yeah,
amazing. You know,
Boom.
that's just
yeah,
what we're doing
absolutely.
now, right?
Capture the
And look,
moment. But I think it
I'm
definitely. I think for most people, you're gone.
I was gonna say I'm gonna champion the. Look, everybody said this, so it might sound cliche, but guys, I cannot stress enough how important it is to just go out and enjoy the company of your friends, man. Like
Yeah.
the actual disconnect when you decide to pick up your phone and film a moment, because in that moment you're like, no one touch me. I want this to be still. You don't want your dude next to you screaming in your ear because he's enjoying himself. So it turns into this monotonous, like, oh, everyone stand still and film the moment.
Yeah.
And honestly, I understand the importance for exposure, but I genuinely, from a DJ's perspective, I would much prefer to see everybody going wild on the drop off a great track as opposed to somebody shining their bright ass torch in my eye
Okay.
while I'm trying to mix. Like, relax,
Oh, do you
man.
know what it is as well, bro? You know when like when we play in our little bar gigs and restaurants, and someone comes up and they just recording you. Sometimes like you feel like, okay, now I need to like All right, let me do a move or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it's funny. It's true though,
Dude,
dude.
what's your move, bro?
Especially if it's on a bad moment, like it's like not
No, but
even
it's
like you're
like
building up.
yeah, but it definitely does something to you as a performer, right? When someone like just comes up to you and it's like
Yeah, it puts you on the
Yeah.
spot. 100%. Manu, what's your
definitely puts you on the
move?
spot.
What's your go-to move
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
good
man.
question. I like
what's
that
your
question.
go-to move when someone's filming you in a gig?
Depends
What's
who it
your
is, man.
go-to?
Depends who it is. Depends who it is.
Uh,
Depends who it
I
is.
feel like my go-to move is make it look like you're doing something cool. So it'll be like filter, reverb, boom, and then I'll stand there
Yeah,
like, but bro, realistically, playing music is, and I'm not saying don't dance as a DJ. Absolutely do that. I think it's super important. I remember teaching someone how to DJ probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and she's flying now. She's doing really well, and I was like, just stop focusing on dancing so much. Focus on getting the mix right. Yeah, I have to swallow my words on that one because I was way too stiff behind the DJ booth for a lot of my career, and I wasn't getting into it and enjoying it. But yeah, feeling like you have to play up for the camera, and knowing that you've got to be on camera, feeling like you have to perform in that sense, everything aside from how the music sounds, is it can be quite daunting sometimes, man. It can put you off
yeah, man. Because a
from
lot of DJs, have you noticed? A lot of
mixing.
DJs don't are not comfortable lifting their head when they
Yeah,
play. A lot of
Yeah,
DJs
man.
you look
DJ like
down.
this, you know, and that connection, that chemistry sometimes is missing.
Yeah,
Not to say that, obviously it's not the best thing, but not to say it's a bad thing, you shouldn't do that. But a lot of DJs are more comfortable kind of,
bro, I'm
being a
definitely guilty
technician
of
with the
that.
knobs.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. I feel like I remember for like sets that really happened to me. I remember my first set that I played at Maddox. I've been waiting to play at this place for years, man. And I went in, and I knew like in my head, I knew I was gonna smash it. I planned some of my set out beforehand, but this was a 4 hour set, man. And I was so involved. I was so head down in mixing and trying to make sure that every single mix was perfect and like sounded right and blended well, that it got to the end of the night at 5 a.m. and I looked up and I was like, oh, what? It happened. Genuinely, I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened that night. All I know is that I mixed probably 40 or 50 tracks, but I couldn't tell you what
Anything
happened.
could
That
have happened in front of you.
anything
But
could
Anything
have
I
could have
think
happened,
happened.
man.
that I was actually having that conversation the other night when like we're messing around behind the decks, and it's just like it's like that. I think it takes like somebody said at the beginning that confidence in your mixing when we were talking about phasing. It's the same with like looking up and like enjoying the crowd. I think, for someone for me who's like relatively an amateur, like for me to like take my attention off what's happening with the technology in front of me is like I think that's like gonna take a long time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah.
I agree. So what are we saying? Camera phones, yes or no at events?
Yeah. Yes, if you're gonna send videos to Afrohouse feed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Otherwise, it's a no. Dude said I'm gonna have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah, I think overall understanding should be that it shouldn't necessarily be a thing that you you do too much. If you want to get to like a couple of videos or whatever, that's cool. But I really strongly
What's a
urge
couple of
people.
videos?
I don't know, get a couple of videos for your story. That's cool, man. Like to just say like, oh, I'm here, I'm at this event. We understand how the world works now. But I really
Yeah.
genuinely do
Yeah.
urge people to go to events and just start enjoying yourself again, man. Like put the phone down do it for say like you lot are addicted, like it's a drug or something. But say it's like, I don't know, 2 out of 10 tracks during a DJ set you won't film and you'll just enjoy it and embrace it and whatever happens happens. I
Exactly.
think that I think that's something that people definitely need to start doing. Guys, comment below. Like leave us
Let us
some
know.
of
Let
your
us know.
thoughts. What do you think? Are you gonna put the camera phones down? Is it becoming an addiction? If so, you can call Frank on 0800. No, I'm joking. But
Oh God.
But yeah, man. All right, guys. So what are your plans for the next couple of weeks? Again, just give a little recap and any news of what's coming up before we close off the pod. Manu, do
Next
you want to
couple of
go?
weeks. Sure. Next couple of weeks. Yeah, the show on Saturday, March 16th, which by the time you listen to this podcast will have passed. But if you're there, you're there. If you're not, whatever. What else? March 29th at the Cross in London again. Anything else? Yeah, this week I took a bit of a break from my videos. I'm focusing on other things. But yeah,
Other
next week
things.
is gonna be crazy. Yeah, man. Next week's gonna be crazy though with the videos, the content. I've got some big releases planned. Huge one that I'm excited about. I even had to get my channel whitelisted for this one because
Wow.
otherwise, yeah. So that's gonna be hopefully a very good video. And yeah, I'm trying to like go back to when I started pushing a lot more up and coming, but the quality just isn't there, in my submission and what I'm receiving. But I'm really trying to focus on those up and coming names. But yeah, that's me, man.
What do you think's
That's
missing from up and coming right now?
Bro, it's just originality is not there, man. Like it's a lot of rushed productions, quality's not there. Yeah, for me, it's just I want to connect to it. I want to, take my hat off. Like I want to react
You want to have
when I
space
listen to the
to dance.
track. Yeah, but also because like now my channel is at a place where, yeah, man, now my channel is at a place where I can't just share any bullshit. You know.
yeah, big
No,
facts.
So
I
yeah,
hear you, man. I hear you. Yeah, I actually have to agree on that as well. We spoke about it before, guys. Like, keep the music coming in. I'm enjoying hearing stuff from artists that I'm not like particularly well versed with, but like, yeah, the originality that I'm hearing, I think is back on the rise again, man. People are starting to create their own sound, or from another perspective, people are just not necessarily just copying the big three names in the scene anymore. They're starting to really work at their own thing. Yeah, I have to admit,
That's
I've been
right.
doing that as well. I've been making music, and my perspective now has been, all right, you understand what you're doing. What do you want to do? What sound do you want to make, and where do you want to take it? And it's no longer really based around artists who inspire me. It's more like I'm thinking which labels might take it, for example.
good for you. That's
So yeah,
that's that's important.
fingers crossed on the music front, man. Audio therapy, like I said, will be launching April the 5th. Keep an eye out for that, guys. And Wes, I know you're not going to be there with us, but what do you think if we can chuck March the 29th for the Cross Indigenous up on in our No Guest List bio? If people want to get
Yeah,
tickets
yeah,
for it,
yeah.
they can get it there.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, man. For sure. I thought you were gonna ask me, can you post on Afrohouse feed, and I was gonna ask you how much you're gonna pay, you know?
I'll pay you,
Talk
bro.
talk that money. Talk that money talk, Wes. Talk that money talk. Tell him.
Yeah,
$10.
yeah. ten
$10.
dollars,
Talk your
anything,
shit, man.
anything for the boys. Come on now, you know. We're
What
we're
about
going to
you, bro? Next
Miami.
couple of weeks?
Yeah, just Miami, like I spoke about before. But other than that, yeah, I just got my head down, kind of like thinking about what's next for the page. You know, how it can grow, be different. Keep evolving with the times, and level up. So I'm really like kind of putting my head down, focusing on that. A few other side projects in the works that maybe we'll know about soon, depending on how it goes. But yeah, for me, like between now and summer officially starting, it's just a grind time.
Yeah, man. Sounds good.
Let's get
Well,
it,
listen
man.
to everybody at home. Thanks as always for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed that conversation. I think that's one that we've been waiting to have for a while. But let us know your thoughts as always. You can either drop a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Hit us up on our socials at No Guest List OFC. You can catch me on my socials at Anthony James DJ. Wes is at,
Afrohouse feed.
and Manu is at.
Manu Nakeen.
So yeah, hit us up, man. Let us know your thoughts. And as always, suggestions for topics that you want to hear discussed as well, because we are open to it. We've had some nice suggestions so far, and they've opened up some very interesting conversations as well. So yeah, check us out. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, we will be back very, very soon. We'll see you in a few weeks' time. Peace.
See ya.
Yeah.